peeps? It's been a while since since I did a live. I made a video. There's a couple reasons why I haven't really been motivated to make videos or do lives. Um, as you see, I'm gonna talk about this Metcalf Anthony situation out of Texas, where one teenager stabbed another teenager, and the other teenager died. And I'm gonna get into that, but first I'm gonna talk about something else first. I'm gonna tell you the reason why I haven't been motivated to do content on this channel or even on my other channel. I really haven't been motivated outside of working. I've been working a lot, but there's other reasons why I haven't been motivated to do content. I sit and I watch news and I watch some of the things that goes on in this country. And I know we all have an opinion. We all have our own thoughts of what's good for America and what's bad for America and what's going on in America. Well, what I see in America now, what's going on in America, it's a lot of negative things, a lot of things that make you wonder what's going on. What is this country coming to? Are we really going backwards in this country? And I've been thinking about that a lot lately for the last couple of weeks. You know, I know a lot of people talk about DEI and talk about how DEI is so wrong. But a lot of people who say it's wrong don't even understand DEI, don't even know what the purpose of DEI is. You know, what's up, Kanyan? And I ask myself, if America is a country where everybody is here to thrive and live that American dream, why do it seem like we're going backwards in this country? Like I said, a lot of people don't understand DEI. And I ask myself, what do DEI, what do pictures of Jackie Robinson on a website or the DOD have to do with DEI? What do the Tuskegee Airmen story on the website have to do with DEI? What do the first Black Marine story being on a DOD website have to do with DEI? What do Nola Gay, the plane that was named after someone's mother-in-law, have to do with DEI? It has nothing to do with DEI, but it has to do with race. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me when I say this, but when you start erasing people of color, females, airplanes from a website, that's taking America backwards. That's not going forward. And it has nothing to do with DEI. It has to do with race. And people need to understand that. We are living in a country now where race is really becoming an issue again. And it's crazy. Why? We are in 2025 and we're taking down pictures of Black people because they're Black people. We're taking down pictures of females because they're just females. That's crazy. And like I said, a lot of y'all are not going to agree with me, and I respect that. Everybody has their own opinion. But for my eyes, what I see a lot of backward thinking people in this country now. I remember when Donald Trump, when that helicopter crashed into that airplane, and the first thing that came out of Donald Trump's mouth was, it was because of DEI. And a whole lot of people who was on the right agreed with Donald Trump. And it's like, why would you agree with nonsense like that? Why would you put the blame on DEI? Why would you think that just because, even though it wasn't, just because a black person or female was behind, I don't have to say steering wheel, but was piloting the helicopter, they caused the issue when it wasn't true? I really feel sorry for a lot of people in this country now. I really do. Because they really are turning the clocks back. Then we brought up the segregation thing, where Donald Trump signed an executive order saying that federal contracts now they don't have to deal with the segregation laws anymore, which was kind of stupid in a sense because I don't expect no one to go back to the 1960s, 50s, or 60s where you separate water fountains and not being able to eat at the same lunch counter as a white person or whatever that it was stupid. It's more played into the race thing. When you have to sign an executive order saying you're doing away with this segregation BS or whatever, why do you have to do that? Why? Playing into the race thing again. And people always said Democrats play the race card. People always said black people play the race card. And that's not true. Because at this point in time, we're not playing the race card. Our white brothers and sisters on the right is playing the race card. And that's why they talk about DEI so much. Even though they try to say that if a black person or a female attain a higher position, they got it because of their gender or because of their color. But you can take an unqualified white male and put him in that same position, and no one has anything to say about that. Race. And the thing about it, they're blatantly doing this in front of your face. They're telling you that you're not qualified as a black man or a woman to be in this position, so we're going to fire you. And then we're going to turn around and put someone less qualified in that same position, while telling you that you're not qualified because you're black. And that's the only reason why you got that position. That's crazy. But that is today's America. That's today's America. I watched for 4 years. I watched people in Congress, people who's supposed to be leading this country, call the vice president a DE hire. And they didn't even try to hide it. They kept repeating it over and over and over and over and over again, that she's a DEI hire. Even though she's been a district attorney for San Francisco, she's been a state attorney for California. She was a senator for, I think, 2 terms, I believe. But it wasn't good enough for them. It wasn't good enough. She still was a DEI hire according to them. Then comes along J.D. Vance, a guy who wasn't even a 1-term senator, a guy who have not accomplished anything in this country. But he's a white male. But it's okay. He's qualified according to them. Even though the black woman was a district attorney, a state attorney, and a 2-term senator. but she's the DEI hire. She's the one who got her position because of her color. That's crazy. But this is the reason why I really haven't been doing content. Because we live in a country now that's going backwards. And it's sad. It's very sad. And that brings me to today's topic of the case that happened in Texas last week, where one teenager stabbed another teenager. Now, I'm going to try to keep race out of this, and I'm going to try to give you my opinion on this topic truly through my eyes. Because I want people to understand something. This wasn't a racial issue until people started making it a racial issue. You know, I heard the father say he didn't want this to be a race issue. He didn't want this to be a political issue. But then I turned around the other day. What's up, Stacy? I turned around the other day and I seen the family on Fox News, which was very strange to me. I'm like, hold on. I thought the father claimed that he didn't want this to be a political issue or a race issue. So why are we doing Fox News? Knowing that Fox News is going to spin this in a one-directional way, which is crazy. But for all the people out there on both sides, we need to understand something. We was all once teenagers at one point in time. And we all made mistakes as teenagers because we're still developing our minds. We're still trying to find ways to deal with issues outside of fighting or arguing about certain things. And we all need to understand both of those was teenagers. Both of them. Now, I see a lot of people are blaming the kid that stabbed the other kid. They're saying that he's violent. They're saying that he the one that pretty much provoked this incident by sitting in the wrong spot. They're saying that he grew up in a culture of violence due to rap music. He was wrong for bringing that knife. They're pretty much putting the blame on him. Now, I'm here to tell y'all, and some of y'all not going to like what I'm about to say, which is fine with me, because this is my opinion. Both of them was wrong. Both kids was in the wrong. Let me explain to you the reason why I said both kids was wrong. Now, the one kid was sitting under the tent, which was the wrong tent, as people would say. Well, let me back up a step. First of all, no one really knows all the facts. We're sitting here listening to the news accounts. What's up, Wuday? We're sitting here listening to the news accounts of this event. But do we know all the facts of this? No, we don't. Someone says there's a video out there somewhere. Hopefully it is, because that video would tell the truth. You know, that's the best. That's going to be the closest thing to the truth you can get to. It's the video. So please let there be a video. But until that video come out, no one knows the facts. No one. Everything is pretty much hearsay, or everything is pretty much half-told stories. And everybody making assumptions off of those half-told stories, demonizing one of them over the other one. That's not fair. It's not right. So this is with the little details that we do know, or the the half truths, half story that we do have. This is my opinion. Now, one kid is sitting under the tent, and they're saying the tent is not the place he's supposed to be. Now, I might be wrong, but I thought someone said it was raining out. I might be wrong, but I can swear someone said it was raining. So if it was raining, I can understand why the kid was under the tent, even though it wasn't his school tent. But I can still understand why he was there if it was raining. Now, the kid is sitting there. What's up, dear Rizzo? Yeah, dear Rizzo. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Now, if the kid is sitting there and the other kid approached him and asked him to leave, what's up, D? And the kid decided that he wasn't going to leave, what can you do? And now this is why I said both kids was wrong. Because no kid have the right to tell another kid to leave. What the kid should have done was go get a coach or a teacher, because they was at a track meet, to instruct the kid to leave if they wanted him to leave. Now, when you're talking about two teenagers, what's up, Doug? When you're talking about two teenagers with a lot of testosterone going on, and like I said, we was all teenagers at one point in time. We want to be the king of the jungle. We don't want to be punks. What's up, it's me? Yeah, that's why I said it's me. I really hope there's a video out there. It'll solve all of this. So we don't want to be punks as teenagers. So one teenager said, you need to move. What's up, Be Humble? One teenager said, you need to move. And the guy said, no, I'm not going to move. Or better yet, he said, don't touch me. And the teenager, from my understanding from the story that's out there, he grabbed the kid. And when he grabbed the kid went into his bag or whatever he had and pulled out the knife and stabbed him. Now, I will say this. Pulling out a knife and stabbing someone is too extreme. I think that situation could have been handled better, much better than what happened. I condone that. I feel like the kid could have dealt with it with his hands instead of with a knife. But it goes back still to what I said. The other kid grabbed him. Now, I can't tell anybody how to react because I don't know the situation. I can tell you my opinion, but I wasn't there. I don't know why the kid had a knife. I don't know why the kid felt like he had to pull the knife out and stab the other kid. But we have to go back and look at the case, the cause and effects to the whole situation. The kid grabbed the kid. And this is why I keep saying both was in the wrong. The one kid was wrong for grabbing the kid, and the other kid was wrong for stabbing the kid. And I feel sorry for the kid that lost his life. I really do. And honestly, I feel bad for the kid who did the stabbing also, because that kid had ruined his life. All over sitting or being in the wrong place, according to what they're saying. 2 lives lost. One physically lost and one emotionally lost. And it's sad. And the adults, I'm gonna talk about that too, Doug. I'm glad you brought that up because, and we're gonna disagree a little bit, Doug. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why we're gonna disagree on that a little bit. Because it's not about young black men need to learn to handle problems without violence. All kids, all people need to learn how to deal with things without violence. See, we need to stop making these things black and white. Because we live in one of the most violent countries in the world. And this country is not violent just because of black people, and it's not violent just because of white people. We live in a violent society. Period. Period. Understand that. And we have to understand where we live at in today's time. We got school shootings on a regular basis in this country. We got gang violence. And I'm not talking about immigrant gang violence. I'm talking about American gangs in this country. Violence. We got neo-Nazis in the streets with guns. America is a violent place. Period. And it makes me so upset when we try to make this a black and a white situation, and it's not. It's an American situation. It's all about our culture. You know, I was listening to Jason Whitlock the other day, and he was talking about this, and he was talking about how the black kid grew up in this violent culture, you know, this rap culture. No, America is a violent culture. It's not just black kids. It's white and black kids. And we need to stop, man. We need to stop making this into a race thing. We need to stop it. And that's why we're not learning anything. And that's why these kids are doing what they do, because we sit here and we try to blame one group against the other group when it's all groups. It's all groups. It's all groups. And I'll tell my white brothers out there, y'all need to understand, white people are just as violent as black people. That's why you got the Kyle Rittenhouses. That's why you got the Daniel Pennies. That's why you got the George Zimmermans. White people is just as violent as black people. And we need to stop it. How can we solve this race issue? Yeah, LeBron, whatever his fucking name is, violence. Violence. Luigi, violence. It's not just black people. 65% of the mass shootings in this country are white people. About 65%. Mass shootings, school mass shootings, like 80% are white kids. We need to understand, this is not a race issue. This is an American issue. The American culture is a violent culture. And I hate when we sit here and try to demonize black kids like white kids are not doing the same thing. You know, I'll listen to some of these so-called black mega supporters. And it disgusted me. It really disgusted me. The way they try to demonize that young black boy. Jason Whitlock, Brandon Tatum. This other guy called himself the black conservative. Demonized the black kid. Like white kids are not violent. Like the white kid did not touch the black kid. It's disgusting how we treat each other. And it's even more disgusting when I see a black man demonizing another black man just to make good points with white people. We need to stop it. Some days I get up and some days I turn on YouTube, and some days I just want to throw my phone across the room. Because YouTube is becoming a toxic environment. What's up, Alpha? It's breeding racism. And it's sickening. It is so freaking sickening. It's crazy. It's crazy. I look at this country now, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Why are we turning back the time? D Rizzo, no, I wouldn't feel different. You know why? Because we've seen that happen already. Well, we've seen it happen in a sense. Yeah, we already seen it happen already. We've seen it happen with George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. It wasn't kids. Well, Trayvon Martin was a child, but George Zimmerman wasn't. But it happened. And look what happened to George Zimmerman. He got off. No one demonized him really, but black people demonized him, but white people didn't demonize him. White people cheered him on. They cheered him on. They didn't say he was in the wrong, even though he was the aggressor, even though he's the one who was doing the stalking, even though he's the one who initiated the whole contact. But see, that's the difference. We want to demonize the black kid. So we already seen that, D Rizzo. But like I said, I'm not trying to make this into a race thing, because I think it should be neutral. Like I said, I see fault with both of them. With the white kid and the black kid, I see fault. But my main thing is this right here, though. When we see white kids, what's up, me, Muck? When we see white kids committing violent acts, we don't blame the culture. We don't blame anything on them for their actions. I'm sorry, for their actions. But when a black kid commits an act of violence, we blame the culture. Why is that? Why? And I told y'all just now, the American culture is just a violent culture, period. It's a violent culture, which is sad. You know, I love all people. I have come a long ways over the last 10 years of my life when it comes to race relations. A lot of my stance have changed, and that comes from growing, maturing into my elderly years. So I have changed a lot. I have learned to look at things from different perspectives. I have learned to really use my critical thinking skills more. I have learned that everything is not based on race. Now, I'm not stupid now. Systemic racism still exists in America, so I'm not that stupid. But I have learned not to blame everything on race. Look at hip hop. No other music has more killing than rap. I don't see this in heavy metal. I don't see it killing country music. I don't see it killing in rock music. Well, it's not even about the rap music, though. Think about this, Doug. Think about video games. Think about movies on television. It's more than just hip hop. And you got to understand, white kids play video games just as much as we listen to hip hop music. Just understand that. So it's not just about hip hop music. Grand Theft Auto. Kids learned how to shoot guns playing video games. And that's a white and black thing. And you also got to realize also, a lot of white kids listen to hip hop music now. See, when me and you was growing up, Doug, back in the 80s and in the first part of the 90s, white kids wasn't listening to hip hop music like that. Now they do. Right, dear Rizzo. Our culture. Well, when you say our culture, see, I look at that. That's an American culture. So I hope you're talking about the American culture, not the black culture, right? Because, yeah, we live in America is a very violent culture. Other countries don't have this problem. Well, Doug, you got to realize also, other countries don't have as many guns as we have. That's part of the American culture also, guns. You can't go anywhere else in the world and see this many guns. Other countries have very, very restrict gun laws. You don't see that many mass shootings in Europe. You don't see that many mass shootings in Asia or in Australia because they got very strict gun laws. Like I said, once again, America is a very violent culture, has a very violent culture. Well, yeah, the guns is the key. But in this situation right here, it was a knife. So that wouldn't have made a big difference. But like I said, guns is a lot of people say the Second Amendment was written for you to be able to defend yourself. You know, my thing is the Constitution is a living document. What that means, you can change it. It's subject to change. And we have made changes to the Second Amendment throughout the years. Because we have banned guns in this country. And we have banned people from owning guns in this country. So that tells me if you want to change laws in this country, if you want to change the Constitution, you can. You know, certain machine guns you can't carry. They're outlawed. Convicted felons can't carry guns. So if you made those exceptions to the Second Amendment, why can't you make more? So when people tell you that, oh, it goes against the Second Amendment to ban this type of gun, that type of gun, well, if that's the case, why do you have guns that have been banned already? Not only that, I don't think the forefathers of this country would have thought that we were having guns that can kill people, that can kill 10 people in 10 seconds. You know, when the Constitution was written, they was using muskets, something that you had to take a minute to load every time you fired it. So that's kind of crazy too. Yeah, that's what I said. There was a knife incident. So honestly, it could have been a rock. That's true too. You know, it could have fell and hit his head. That would have killed him. But still, guns are the reason why there are so many people, so many deaths in this country a year. They play a big part in a lot of killings. But I understand where you're trying to go, DeRizzo. I understand where you're trying to go. But no, though, my whole point of talking about this subject today, I just want us to think before we act, before we accuse people, before we judge people, that is, before we judge someone, because we don't have the facts of this case. We have parts of the story to this case. And we need to be careful how we are picking sides, how we are trying to demonize one side and make the other side look okay. We need to be careful. You know, we need to be more mindful of what's going on around us. Because I'll be honest with you, at this point in time, it seems like they're dividing this country along racial lines now. Once again, when we was making headway and coming together, now we're being divided again. And I know a lot of y'all gonna be saying y'all gonna disagree because I got Trump supporters in here, but Trump is dividing this country. He's dividing this country, and we need to be aware of that. Yeah, Doug. There's much more to this story than we know, and that's why I say we must be cautious of how we talk about this story, and we must be cautious of how we try to pick sides because we don't know the whole story. We don't know the whole story. No, we get bits and pieces here and there, but we don't know the whole story. But let me say this right here also, because I seen Willie D talk about this story, and this is to all these black millionaires and billionaires out there. The ones of y'all who talks about this story and try to use this story to get clicks and views. And I know some of y'all might say, "Oh, well, you doing it?" Well, no, I'm not doing it because I know I get about 10 to 15 views. That's all I'm gonna get. So I'm just this is just way me. This is the way of me just vocalizing how I feel. But for all these people who get clicks and views off this story, why don't y'all help that young man make bond? Why don't y'all take some of that money and that influence that y'all have and help him make bond? Help him attain a lawyer to fight this case. Since y'all care so much about him and y'all feel like injustice is being done, I want y'all to reach deep down in y'all pockets to help this young man. He shouldn't need a GoFundMe because he got people like Willie D talking, taking his sides, defending him already. Yeah, I seen no GoFundMe's he got already, but I think one was like 15,000. But for all these people like Willie D who's talking about this case, go help the man out. Go help him make bond. And Willie D, you're actually in Texas also. So you can go down there, take some of your property. Oh, he got 160K? Oh shit. I didn't know he had that much. Oh, okay. Well, I guess he don't need Willie D money down there. But it's crazy though. If y'all don't mind, I got 7 people in the building. Can I get 7 thumbs up at least? I really appreciate it. If y'all don't mind hitting that thumbs up button for me. Do a brother a very, very small favor. Not asking for that much. I'm not asking for 160K. I'm just asking for a thumbs up. Ben Crump. Ben Crump. Ben Crump. I'm trying to formulate my words before I talk about Ben Crump. And there's a reason why. I think Ben Crump is a leech. I wasn't going to say a race hustler, D Rizzo. I was going to say he's a leech. He's a leech on the black community. He's just a leech. He only shows up when there's money involved. He's a leech. Nothing but a leech. You know, a lot of these black parasites, like Ben Crump, need to go away. Need to go away. There's some way in the world you can tell me one man, well, his law office, can represent 20,000 people at once. Every time there's an issue somewhere, he shows up. You know, if these people cared about the black community so much, they'll be doing more than what they're doing. The only time they want to show up in the black community when there's money to be made off of the black community, which is sad, which is very sad. You know, you got homeless vets, black vets out there. You got homeless people, period. You got low education in the inner city. You have all kind of issues in the inner city, but the only time these people want to show up when there is money to be made. That's it. HBCU schools are going down hard. They're not out there trying to defend them. Ain't no money to be made in that. The inner city is just garbage. They're not trying to change that. There ain't no money to be made in it. What's up, Vincent? Which is crazy. It's really crazy. I am so sick and tired of race hustlers. I really am. And honestly, I'm sick and tired of people supporting these race hustlers. They ain't doing nothing for the black community. Nothing for the black community. But sucking off of them. Parasites. That's the only thing they're doing. Taking. And I get so sick and tired of black people who tells me just because somebody give a speech, they're doing something for the black community. I seen something the other day that Denzel Washington said. Words without, well, this is not a quote, so don't quote me. I'm not quoting him, but this is basically what he said. Words without actions ain't shit. Now, he didn't say that, but that's basically what he was trying to say. Words without actions ain't shit. Yeah, D Rizzo. I said the same thing when I first started up. I was like, because I wasn't sure. I know I heard a story that it was raining, I believe. And I'm like, if the kid was setting up them because it was raining, no big deal. I don't see what the big deal was. I really don't. But yeah, words without action ain't shit. But black people, we tend to listen to just words without even asking for action. Just let that sink in for a second. Why? Why? Why do we rather listen to people talk and then turn around and show you no action behind that talk? You know, I'm gonna talk about this Umar Johnson for a second because he's a prime example of what I'm talking about when I talk about people just want to talk without action. It's amazed me how stupid a lot of black people are. How easy for black people to get scammed. A man tells you that he want to build a school or open a school. A man purchased a school, then he strings you along and tells you he has to fix this, he has to fix that, he has to do this, he has to do that. And at the same time, he's telling you, send me more money, send me more money, send me more money. Then on top of that, he travels around the country and travels around the world giving these speeches. But all at the same time, that so-called school is still sitting over there while he's still asking for more money. Only speaking without action, and black people still is supporting this nonsense. It's been 6 years since he purchased a school that only needed to be renovated. The walls was up, the roof was on. All you had to do was renovate the school. It's been 6 years. And this guy been traveling around the world and traveling around the country the whole time. And black people still think that this man is legit. All because he showers them with words. Do that make sense? Do that make sense? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start me a GoFundMe. And I'm gonna say, I want to start a business. I'm not gonna say business. I'm not gonna put anything specific. I'm just gonna say business. I want to start a business. And I'm gonna promote my GoFundMe. And I'm gonna keep telling y'all I want to start a business. I'm not gonna give you a business plan. I'm not gonna give you anything but telling you I want to start a business. I'm not gonna give you no detail. And I wonder how many of you people is gonna contribute to my GoFundMe. Just by me saying I want to start a business with no business plan. Would y'all support me, please? Because it's so easy, it seems, to get people to just give you money without action. I want to try that. I want to try it. See how far I can get. See if I can travel around the world or travel around the country on somebody else dying just by telling them that I want to start a business. You think that'll work? You think anybody will contribute to my GoFundMe? I'm just saying. Since people just love words without actions. Well, I think I've said enough. I thank you guys for coming through. I thank y'all for the 7 thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll be back soon. It's all about motivation with me. I have to be motivated to do this. If I'm not motivated to do this, I don't get up and do it. So, but I really appreciate everybody who came through and everybody who actually dropped a comment. I really appreciate that. Until next time, I salute you all. And like I said, man, Let's make this a better country. Let's stop dividing this country and bring this country together as one. That's what we need to be doing right now. So y'all take care until next time.